I'm here in North London with a very heavyweight panel, which is just as well because we've got quite a lot to talk about. Things have really started to happen in this transfer window, which has discombobulated all of us. We're just not used to it as Spurs fans. Sitting to my immediate left, I would like to say welcome, Chris Cowlin. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Nice to be here.
And then sitting to his left, are you making your debut, Sean?
No, second appearance.
Second appearance. So you would have been on with Mike last time.
That's right, yeah.
Sean Cook of the Totally Tottenham newsletter and Talking THFC as well. And, of course, TalkSport and The Sun. You're a man of many parts.
I am indeed.
Yes, sports journalist. Let's put that umbrella term over the top of it.
Thank you very much.
And one of our longest-serving players, Andy Linden, is sitting to my right. How are you, Andy?
No, I'm good. Yes, longest server. Yeah,
I would say you've been in. I think you've been in since season 1.
I'd like to think I've been here since the Wilson administration.
Yes.
Oh, what days they were.
Oh, I tell you what, you look back on the old... I mean, you and I are old enough to remember it, and you think, what a brilliant administration that was when you look at most of what's been since. Anyway.
Absolutely. A pipe-smoking PM.
Absolutely. Football fan as well, remember?
Yeah, and who knows what was in that pipe that he was smoking. Bless him.
It was the 60s after all.
Yes,
Could have been anything in there.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on swiftly. As I said, there's a lot to talk about. I wonder if what we should talk about perhaps first is the last game we played, because that will give context to the transfer dealings we will then talk about. So, of course, the previous game, or the last game we played, was in the Cup, and it was at Southampton at the weekend. We got what actually wasn't a terrible result. We're still in the Cup. We're still in the draw. If we win the replay, we'll have Norwich at home, which is no bad thing. But who went? Chris, you went?
Yeah, I went.
And Andy went?
Yeah.
Sean wasn't. I wasn't there. Yeah, I wasn't able to go. I was working as well. But what did you make of the performance, Chris?
Overall, I thought it was a fair result. I expected a 1-1 draw, to be honest.
Oh,
and
you had a bet.
Well, I thought just get them back to our home, beat them there, and then of course the fifth round come out last night. Norwich City, I fancy us again.
Oh yeah.
1991 was the last time we won the FA Cup, so it's got to be our year, surely. 29 years is too long. But overall, the game, I thought we played very well. We were unlucky in the first half not to go in, winning because Sonny and Lucas Moura had chances. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a fair result.
Fair result and a decent performance.
Yeah, it was an okay performance. It's getting there. You know, Jose Mourinho's only been in charge for 2 months. There's a lot of work to do. Yeah. There is a lot of work to do, and the rebuild is starting now, isn't it?
It is. Andy, what did you make of it?
Couldn't agree more with Chris, really. Yeah, the old side now needs dismantling, and I thought the wheels were coming up about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, when I thought, Michelle, and we've been going backwards since we left the lane, if the truth be told.
Yes,
and, so, yes, it is. It is a rebuild. As I say, there are players there that have been there a little too long now. You've won your Armours, your Dyers, and, yes... I thought it was an encouraging performance.
I suppose, thinking of it as a rebuild, what you're mostly interested in looking at is what the new players are bringing to it. And there were 3 on display, newish players. There was the new fella, Gedson. Are we calling him Gedson?
Jedson, I believe.
Jedson, okay. Yeah. There's Jedson, the newest of them all. There's Tanganga, who I put down as a newcomer. And, of course, there's Lo Celso. I only saw highlights, but Lo Celso, everyone was raving about Lo Celso. I've liked the look at him from day one because he just looks like a classy player. He looks like a player with a touch and some vision who's going to create stuff. And he probably, as far as I could gather, had his finest game on Saturday.
Well,
superb.
What was nice about him was that, everything you said, but everything went through him.
That's what you want.
Particularly in that first half.
Playmaker.
Everything went through him. No better highlight than the goal that Song scored.
Yeah.
He beat, 3 players?
Yeah.
Great assist, yeah.
That little check inside.
Yeah.
Saw Lamella. Thankfully, he passed it with his left foot. Of course he would. And Song, who I think is off form at the minute,
But luckily,
Got
on
it
that
away.
occasion,
Yeah.
it was a lovely finish, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I
Just
mean,
went through it. Everything went through at the Celso.
I don't know, Sean. It said today that the signing, the permanent signing of Lo Celso has happened, and they're saying we paid £27.5 million. Is that? But wasn't he originally valued at more like 50 million? What's the story there? Is that just the second payment? Or
The fee actually changed depending on when we made it permanent. So we
I
got
see.
a little bit of a discount, if you could call it that,
If
by
you-
bringing him in
by
January.
buying him early. But that's
so-
a massive discount if it. Or is it just that they'd already paid a chunk of money to secure him for 6
So
months?
that's right, yeah. So
Okay.
chunk of money to secure the loan.
Yeah.
Either in January it's 27, or I believe in the summer it's a little bit more. It might have been 30, 35 in the
Right.
summer.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm delighted we've got him.
Yeah.
I loved it from Spurs today, announcing that the moment that Inter Milan had announced Eriksen as well.
Yeah.
That small little dig there, if so to speak. But
Yeah.
exciting prospect.
I mean,
yeah.
he does look like, as far as you can ever have one, he looks like a direct replacement, doesn't he? He looks like a playmaker, which is what, I mean, you lose Eriksen, you think, who's going to do that job? There he is.
That's the thing. We've been crying out for someone to just take ownership of that midfield. We've had,
Yeah.
I think, 15 different centre midfield partnerships this season,
yeah.
different combinations
Yeah.
of players.
Yeah.
So we're crying out for someone to stake a claim and
Yeah.
take ownership of that. I'd love that to be Lo Celso and Ndombele in the future.
Yeah.
But as I say, he's finally getting a run of games. His best 3 performances have been these last 3 games. So
Yeah.
exciting talent and hopefully one for the future.
Yeah. I saw you smiling there, Chris. Do you think we might
I think it's a little bit early to say he's going to be a direct replacement for Eriksen.
Do you think do you say that because he's not necessarily the same type of player, or you don't necessarily think he can be as good?
Well, Christian Eriksen, in the Premier League, he played 226 times for Spurs, scoring 51 goals, assisting 62 times. So either scoring or assisting, that is 113 times. That is 1 in every 2 games he's either assisting or scoring a goal
Making
for
or
us.
scoring a
Very, very important player.
Yeah.
He's been a fantastic servant to the club, Christian Eriksen. I've really, really liked him. Always been one of my favourite players. But can we say now that Lo Celso is going to be a replacement for him?
I'm
not
not
so sure.
certain. No, you couldn't say either that. Well, you certainly couldn't say he's going to achieve that. And I think it's good that you mentioned this, because it's worth saying that this is the Spurs show. This is the day Christian Eriksen left. There's been a bit of a cloud over him, but I think I agree with you totally. He has been an outstanding player. If you look at this decade that's just finished, not many better, more important players for Tottenham, and probably one of the best midfielders we've had. Really, I mean, in terms of class, and not just class, because as you say, he's got the stats to back it up. He said that himself today. Actually, made a point of saying that. He said the stats show that I did well in England. He was important. He was very keen to make that point. The other stat about Eriksen that people don't often think of, because of the type of player he is his incredible work rate. He regularly outran every other player on the park.
Which is such a fascinating thing about him as well, in that the criticism he often got from fans was it didn't look like he was putting much effort in. It looked like he was pulling out of challenges.
Kind of demeanour about it.
Yeah, he used to often run further than any other Spurs player, any other player on the pitch, full stop. So quite a bizarre little nugget, really.
Very good player. Another thing I read today, I mean, this could be tittle-tattle, was that he was all set to go to Real Madrid. They were absolutely ready to sign him, and Zidane, when he came back, and just vetoed it. So that shows you, I mean, he's a quality player. And sometimes with players, when they leave, you need a while, 6 months or so, maybe a year or so, before you really put them you can really assess them objectively. Because when they leave, you're often thinking of them in the context of the way that they've left, rather than what have they actually given us. And I think he's an excellent. He's been an excellent player. I also think he's entitled at the age that he is. Why should he have to stay in one club for 12 years? I think he's entitled to want to go. I mean, Milan's a very nice place.
But I certainly feel sorry for people like Christian Eriksen, even Maurizio Pochettino, being at the club for that period of time and still going away, having not won a trophy.
Yeah.
I think it's just sad.
I feel sorry for them, and I feel sorry for us.
Of course, feel sorry for us. Yeah, definitely.
I think the interesting thing about particularly going to Inter Milan is as well, I don't think he'll be at Inter Milan for a particularly long time.
Really?
If he goes there and has 2, particularly strong seasons, they might go and win Serie A this season. It's a tough ask.
They're only 3 points
admittedly.
behind. Yeah.
If he goes there and has 2 good seasons, Real Madrid might come back
or
in for him.
Barcelona,
Barcelona might come back in for him.
He wanted that move, didn't he? He wanted that
100%.
Barcelona and Real Madrid.
100%,
And
yeah.
he hasn't
And
got it.
Barcelona's history of signing that older player, slightly older player,
yeah.
he could be a Barcelona player in 2-3 years' time. I wouldn't write that off at all.
Yeah.
Good luck to him.
Oh, yes.
So the other players that we mentioned, Tanganga doesn't seem to be. He is again. still early days. He's rough around the edges. He does make mistakes, but all defenders make mistakes. He doesn't half look like not the finished article, but he looks like a player, let's say, who isn't still in this first handful of games. He's been amazing, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's at a huge disadvantage at the moment playing at left back.
Because it's not his position, is it?
Not at all. No, he's a strong lad. He's quite quick.
Yeah,
he's raw. You can see that. He's got potential. I think, like the rest of the, Chris was talking about the Celso. I think we've got to. Yes, he's got potential, as all of them know. We've got to see
how it develops,
how he develops. But yes, he's good. Whereas I look at Sanchez, who is, 22, 23 now. He's been at Spurs 3 seasons.
Yeah.
He's raw, he's quite quick, he's good in the air. But
strong.
Sanchez he can switch off. He gets bullied by centre forwards, bully him. And again, he's one of these players, like any Tottenham player, we want him to do well. But Sanchez, to me, he hasn't improved in the 3 seasons that he's been at Tottenham, whereas this kid could.
Yeah.
I think he given the opportunity to be a centre half.
The thing about centre halves is like
they develop late. Sorry,
they develop late because it's a thinking game as much as anything else. It's about knowing what to do, isn't it? I always think that about centre halves. Is that one of the best centre halves I ever saw, and he doesn't get much credit for it. I don't think, because he was a legend for so many other reasons. Gary Mabbott. Once he got into his 30s playing centre half, he was one of those guys, and there have been a few at different clubs. People like Paul McGrath, remember him at Villa, and because they know they don't need much. They don't need much in terms of pace, or they just know where to be and what to do and how to time it. And
it's reading the game,
reading the game. Now that can't happen overnight. I mean, some of them are precocious. Ledley King was good at young.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was a remarkable player. I mean, for me, King and Mabbott they'd be my centre half pairing if you're looking at the best Premier League Tottenham team. I mean, they'd be ahead even of these.
Well, that's what we're waiting for, the next Ledley King, aren't we?
Yeah,
that's what we're And,
but with Tanganga, he's played only a handful of games.
Yes, exactly.
Played at centre back, then played at right back. Now playing at left back.
Yeah.
And in the away end on Saturday, he put his whole body in the way and took one straight in the face, applauded by all of the away fans. And it just shows what grit, passion, determination he's got. And he just put his whole body in the way of blocking that cross.
He had
superb.
Superb. Because Song bottled it completely.
Really?
Bless him.
Well, at least it's that way round. At least the fancy winger is the one bottling it, and the new centre half is the one.
That's the last thing Song needs.
But that's what you want to see.
Smash nose, all these fans are there,
all those advertising deals he's got.
Southeast Asian fans are there with Tottenham scarves.
No, but we talk about players coming in and playing with passion. This is just a young kid, and he's putting his whole body in the way, taking one straight in the face for the team.
Great to see.
Superb.
I think Mourinho deserves a lot of credit for Tanganga as well. I mean,
absolutely.
obviously he's not been the manager that's developed him, but
no,
I mean that Liverpool game. I was at the game.
That was
I've seen that team come in.
Selection, wasn't it?
But again, I mean, what a decision. We know Liverpool are frightening going forward. We know their 3 forwards are the quickest 3 in Europe, if you could say. And he knew that Vertonghen's body just couldn't keep up with that pace. Vertonghen knows that himself. I think we've all seen it this season. Poch saw it as well. So to put a young lad in there who he knows is going to match him for pace, I think Mourinho deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then the third one is Jedson, as I now know. I mean, you thought he was a bit off the pace on Saturday?
He was, was he? Brighton, I think he was in. Brighton. Bless him. The game
passed him by a bit.
It passed him by. That was what I thought was a great result at Tottenham, is because we did have all these new players in. I mean, Lo Celso, to me, is still a new player.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely.
He had more than
still adapted.
He played about 8 games.
Adapting,
he started about 4,
You got Jedson, who... the game just passed him by. You've got Tanga, all these kids. And it was a great result. Here's a team Southampton, they're hot in form, particularly at home at the moment. you know, Christ, you're above Arsenal, weren't they, at the minute?
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
got beat
That's not
9-0 the other week.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
here we
what
are.
a turnaround they've had.
So
Yeah.
I was, you know, as I always am, totally negative, going to the ground, thinking how many we're going to get beat by. Oh, no!
Yeah.
And so, yes, it was a great result. As I said before, we're a fractured team at the minute.
Yeah.
Everything's going on. We got players leaving, players want to run their contracts down, players out of form, players injured.
True.
So,
It's a turbulent time.
yeah.
In fact, when we come back, we're going to have a little break now, but when we come back, we will talk about that. We'll talk about today's exciting developments in the transfer market, and we'll talk about, of course, Manchester City coming up at the weekend. Welcome back. So, before we talk about our agenda, our remaining agenda, let me just tell you a few things. You should seriously consider getting a Spurs Show season ticket. You can do that by going to season.spursshow.net. It costs £10 a month, and you get 2 tickets for each monthly event. Now, this coming Friday, by the way, we've got a special event. And that is on at the Beehive in Tottenham, and that's with Ozzy Ardiles and Mickey Hazard. Looking forward to that this Friday night, because it's deadline day. It's a deadline day special. That'll be good. We got John Pratt coming up as well in a future show. That's on February the 25th. Not entirely sure where that'll be, but my money is on the one in Great Portland Street. What's it called? The old... we've all forgotten it.
Not the Albany. No.
Yes, it, yeah, the Albany.
Is it the Albany?
Isn't it?
Is it the
Yeah,
Albany?
It's the Albany, yeah. Anyway...
Well played.
Oh, yeah, that was good. For additional premium Spurs Show content, including a daily Spurs news show, match reports, interviews with ex-players, and much more, sign up at patreon.com/Spurs Show. You can try it for a month and support this show. See what you think. On the Spurs Flicks version, there's new documentary from Pete Hain, the brilliant Pete Hain from the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, who does these Tottenham historical walks. So he's making a documentary on that. That is going to be seriously good, I think. We've got other content from the great Willie Morgan, the voice of White Hart Lane. He's made a Spurs on Record series where he talks about all the great classic records that Tottenham Hotspur have been involved with over the years. Come on, Andy. Come on, we're hot shot Tottenham. We are the Super Spurs. That's my favourite. And also, you can... that's it. That's all that really good stuff anyway you can get. Just go to Patreon. Patreon.com/Spurs Show. Now, talked about the transfer activity today. What I was referring to, of course, was the departure of Eriksen, the permanent signing of Lo Celso, which everyone's very happy about, but also it would appear we have a bid in that has been accepted for this young Dutch winger. What can you tell us about this, Sean?
He's young. He's 22.
What's his name?
Stephen Bergwijn, I believe.
Bergwijn.
Is the pronunciation.
Notice how I went over to you before I was saying it.
So, as I say, young player. I think he's got 7 or 8 caps already for Holland, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Involved in 19 goals in 29 games for PSV this season, which is 16 goals, 3 assists, I think it is, or the other way around, which is really exciting. Yeah. He looks quick. He looks exciting. I think there'll be a lot of older Spurs fans that go to the games that always shout, take him on, that will love this type of player. Yeah. But yeah, it's not quite what we're after at the moment. It's not necessarily what we need, I don't think. Obviously, we're all pushing for us to sign a striker. But I think we need competition for places.
Absolutely.
I think Lucas Moura hasn't had a particularly good season. I think it's come a time where he probably does need to be dropped. He's not a starter. And if that means Bergwijn can be that man that does that and applies that pressure, bring it on.
Well, I mean, Mourinho seems to want to play. Everything suggests that when we've got a centre forward in Harry Kane, he likes to play 2 fast wide men, and he's only got 2 fast wide men, which is not. If you're going to play them both, you need a third one, don't you?
Sure.
Quite apart from just for injuries, never mind form. But you've got to keep them all on their toes. Sometimes you'll need to rotate. So, as you say, if Lucas Moura needs a rest for 2 or 3 games, you've got to have someone. So in a sense, there was a vacancy there. The only thing I suppose that everyone might worry about is whether that takes away the likelihood of buying a centre forward. I mean, this Patiek saga keeps going on. Have I said that right?
Piatek.
Ah,
so close.
Thank God you're here. But he's the one that we keep. That is the rumour that won't go away most of all, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, by all accounts, it's not a difficult deal to do. He wants away. Milan want to sell him. It sounds like Spurs and Milan have agreed a price. They agree that he is worth a certain valuation,
So what's it all
which
about
seems to
then?
be about 28 million.
So it's about instalments.
Well, not necessarily that. It's obviously Daniel Levy trying to save a bit of cash. The thing that they're trying to propose is they agree it's 28 million.
Yeah.
He seems to think it's worth X amount of million and a Spurs player going the other way.
Oh, he wants a part.
So, which obviously is quite a challenge. You've got to find the right player. You've got to
Yeah.
find a player that's willing to
I
go.
mean, that's
You've got to
really-
find a player that Milan want
Very
as well.
hard to do part. They're very rare, aren't they?
Yeah,
Part exchange deals,
absolutely.
really, when you think about it, I mean,
Well,
they hardly ever happen.
I think they're trying to offload Juan Foyth, Victor Wanyama, and now Eric Lamella's in the mix. Well,
Maybe he's saying just take them all.
Wanyama, take Wanyama.
Whoever you want.
Take them all. Just get them off the wage bill. We will buy that player, but you have to take all of these players.
Yeah,
Don't worry
yeah.
about the money. You just pay the wages.
But the situation we're in, we're 6 points away from top four.
Yeah.
In this dreadful season that
important.
Tottenham have had, we're 6 points away from top four. We're still in the FA Cup. We're still in the Champions League. We've got it all to play for. So we need to spend the money now to secure that.
You sound a bit like Bob Geldof.
We have to. It has to happen. You know, Daniel Levy stood.
Spurs aid.
Daniel Levy stood there a couple of days before Christmas at the start of Christmas do and said, "There's two things I want for Christmas. One is finishing in the top four, and another one is a trophy." Well, if he wants Jose Mourinho to deliver both of them, we need to spend the money in the next few days.
Well, the signs are he seems to understand that unusually because all of these players come in. We needed a central midfielder. He's got one. We needed a wide player. If you're going by that theory, where he got one.
But there's players and there's players.
He's not spending the big money. But there are big money players don't tend to move in January anyway. I don't think anyone's spent more than anybody's going out
It's the
spending.
lowest spending of it. The
Yeah, I
Premier
mean,
League
there are no
window
massive
ever, yeah.
deals happening, are there, with big star players that are worth 80, 90 million quid? Even if he was inclined to spend it, they don't appear to be. I mean, the big superstar that seemed to be available and we were linked with was Cavani, but he always wanted to go to Madrid, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a non-starter. So you can only buy what's available. But I mean, you could say maybe for Daniel that's a good excuse. I don't know. I don't know what this Piatek. Did I say that right?
That's spot on.
I don't know what he's like. I don't know what he's like. Of course, like we never know what any of these players.
He
are like.
had a fantastic season 2 seasons ago for them. In Italy. He was
for another
fantastic.
team.
Yes, for Genoa, I believe it was.
Right, Genoa, yeah.
Was fantastic. This year, I think he's only got 5 goals for them.
But is he starting all the time? No.
He's in and out of the
Yeah.
team. So that's the concern. You want someone that's going to be banging form and scoring the goals. But as you say, January's so tricky. And I mean, if we came away with Bergwijn, the Celso and Jedson, quite good January
Not
business
bad,
in the
but
grand
we've got
scheme
centre
of things.
forward as well. That was decent.
I think going back to your point about spending a lot of the big cash on big players.
Yeah.
Levy's going to be somewhat frightened given what's happened with Ndombele. The first real big pay packet he's had to dish out
Right.
has brought in a player that's had 5-6 injuries already.
I'm glad you brought him up. Actually,
I'd love Ndombele. I think he really is the future
Yeah.
of that midfield. But I think Levy will be looking at that and going,
but
look what happened the last time I spent 60
I know,
million.
but Levy's been in this game long enough to know sometimes you're going to get lucky and sometimes you're not. There are no guarantees when you get any player. You can't suddenly say, I bought one in the summer, he's turned out crap, I'm not doing that again. I mean, we've bought bad players before, but I think he's a very good player. But I am puzzled by his situation because I don't understand why Mourinho keeps calling him out and trying to imply that he's a malingerer. But I spoke to someone the other day who's very well connected who said he's a nightmare. He's actually a bit of a nightmare. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, he's just like all over the place. He's kind of like very difficult to manage. They didn't go into details, but it seemed to suggest that he's 22, right? He's come from Lyon. What would he have been earning there? 10 grand a week max. He's come here. He's probably earning 70 grand a week, let's say. I mean, and he's 22 years of age. I mean, I don't know what you were like when you were 22, Andy. But
in your prime.
if I'd have had 70 grand a week.
22, if I'd have been on this show now, I'd be coming down off a tab of pink, mate. Well, envisaging that Spurs had done the quadruple.
Yes, well, exactly.
The Grand Slimers.
Yes.
And anyway.
I suppose that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're 22 and you suddenly, I mean,
that's horrific. Now
I'm not saying it's the money that's made him funny, because as I say, I've got no details.
Now I'm horrified. I thought maybe it was just a collection of injuries.
Yeah,
and now you're telling me that.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because Mourinho keeps being nasty about him publicly, which even I don't think there's any excuse for that, whatever the situation is. It doesn't serve any purpose, as far as I can see, at all, unless Mourinho's a much more subtle thinker than any of us know, and he thinks it will work, calling him out in public. It never seemed to work with Luke Shaw.
But you were saying about a pal of yours a
pal of mine. Let's call it a pal of mine. Well, I said, who's extremely well connected. He said the word he uses is a nightmare. But he didn't say why.
He's never looked 100% fit, though. No. All season.
Yeah.
And it seems like we've seen little glimpses of something special from him. And that is what is so frustrating for us. And, of course, Pochettino and now Mourinho is very, very frustrating, because you've got a quality player who you want to put on the pitch, and he just simply cannot play at the moment, because Brighton away, he went off at half-time. He was abysmal in that game.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to do everything you can to enable him to play, right?
I mean, we paid, 53 mil? What was it?
Yeah, exactly. You're crazy.
So define nightmare. How do we define that?
I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Screaming up about?
He actually replied to the comments from Mourinho in France Football this week.
What did he say?
Wasn't fazed by it at all. He said, coach has said what the coach has said. I'm continuing to work hard. Was quite political about it.
Maybe his agent wrote the quote.
I believe so. Yeah, I'd imagine so. The frightening thing with Ndombele, which as we say, 5 or 6 different knocks he's had this year on different different injuries. Yeah. He's never previously had an injury his entire professional career.
Well, there we go. Maybe that's another reason why Mourinho thinks it's all a bit spurious. Possibly, I don't know. But the thing is, as I say, if you're a 22-year-old lad and you've gone to a foreign country, you're showered with all this money and all this attention, people shouldn't expect people to be able to just adjust to that and behave normally. It's going to have could well have a profound. I don't know if he's got all his family with him. I don't know if he's got a stable family or anything. I've no idea. But it's a difficult thing to deal with, and I just wonder whether slagging him off publicly is the right way to do it.
Probably not. No, probably not.
Because
there you go. I had all my hopes up. And,
I mean, when he's played well, as you say,
we bought a nightmare.
Well. That doesn't mean he remains a nightmare. If they're clever about it, if they are clever behind the scenes and they do what needs to do and they get the right combination of carrot and stick and everything, then he could still be a really, really good player.
Look, he's got some good qualities. I know what you're saying, Chris, but he has got some good qualities. This kid's got good feet, good balance. He can drop a shoulder. Yeah. He can also drive a midfield forward.
Yes, he's very positive.
Yeah. He ain't a water carrier like Winks.
No. I completely agree.
He has got potential, this kid. He's 22 again. He's new. He's as long as he don't become Darren Ambulance.
Well,
and I think who's to know, his relationship with Mourinho might turn out to be a really good one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's early days.
Yeah, for sure.
It's early days. I mean, some players. I mean, look at, for example, Sissoko. He was 3 years before he got any good.
Yeah,
wasn't he? It was literally 3 seasons before he played well. But he did in the end.
Well, apparently he was looking after Ndombele.
Was he?
Because
French speaking,
and arm round the shoulder.
Yeah, good.
I suppose he's.
You know what he said to him? Don't worry, you'll have 3 years to do whatever you like. As long as you're all right in the 4th year, everything will be fine. Take it from me.
Yeah. Just don't eat the food.
Well, it's all interesting, isn't it? And as you say, Chris, we're not that far off the top 4, so it's not all bad. We're still in the FA Cup. We're still in the Champions League. We've got reasonable draws in both those competitions. We're bringing players in. I mean, it's been it's been a funny season, obviously, and probably will continue to be, but it's certainly not all bad right now as we sit here. Having said that, we're playing Man City at the weekend.
Who?
Now, that is actually quite a mouth-watering fixture, actually, because I mean, obviously, it's always a good game. They're good to watch, and it'll be a good test for us because there are top quality side with extremely high quality players who are not necessarily, you know, they're not invincible by any means like they have been in the past. How do you see that one going, Andy?
Funny you should ask me that. The last time I was on here, as I come to the Spurs Show, guys, my wife said to me, please be positive. You really come across as negative. Please be. Oh, I'll be positive, all right. So at the end of the show, here we are. And what do you think then, Andy?
Yeah.
Spurs versus Bayern Munich. And I've given, possibly 2-1. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, all right, they ain't got a manager. They've got one of the best forwards in Europe who is hot at the minute. Good kids, pace all over the gaff. Yeah, we'll win 2-1. 7-2. And then I'm asked, Brighton, new manager, good football, in form, weird dollop. A hollow 1-0 win. 3-0, one of the worst performances played. So I can't give a result. Man City, I think we'll get beat. Right. I think we'll get beat. Right. But if it's a gallant defeat like Liverpool, I'll take that.
Right.
But I think that the reason I say that is that we can't keep a clean sheet.
But we can score goals.
Yeah. We can score goals.
So it'll be 4-3 then.
Hey!
Now they are a superb side,
yes.
And but we need to be on top of our game. And as I said, we're 6 points away from top 4. We haven't beaten a top 6 established side this season. If we are going to reach this top 4 place, we need to start getting these results, and we need to start grinding these results out. You know, the last 10 days, 14 days, the results have been okay. But it's been mediocre opposition, really. You know, so you're up against a very, very good team now. So Mourinho needs to put everything into this game. And what I do love about Mourinho since his appointment, every single game, regardless of the competition and regardless of who we've got in the next game, he always puts out the best possible 11. And I love that about him.
Sean, do you think he will play counter-attacking game and try and sit deep like we did against Liverpool and then not start, which is basically like a classic away strategy.
Yes.
Sit deep, keep it tight, keep it down to 0 or 1 goal conceded, and then go for it in the last 20 minutes.
I think exactly that. I think it could be exactly that Liverpool game, as Andy said. As long as they play that way, I can't have many complaints. But I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if Ndombele perhaps does come back in. He was obviously on the bench on the weekend.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
Bit of physicality in the midfield that perhaps we didn't need against those other sides. But yeah, I think we'll get a result. I'm not going to say what way I think it will go, but I think if we play like we did against Liverpool, I can't have many complaints. It's going to be a tough one. As you say, they're not exactly informed themselves. They drew with Palace at home just before the FA Cup. So they're struggling for a bit of luck. We need points. We desperately need points, and I think Mourinho will get them up for this one.
Yeah, they always seem to be quite close games, actually, given how good they are. We haven't had a tonking from them for a while, have we? Had 2 close games what have I said?
Do you know what? I said exactly that for the Bayern Munich game. I turned to the guy next to me when we were all over them the first half hour or so. I said, as long as they play like this, I've got no complaints. Yeah. And then you cut to full time.
And then this happened, as Richie Benno used to say. Yeah, it was quite a chastening night, that, of course. So, I mean, the thing about Man City is they have got it in their locker. They could do it to anyone. So, and they have done it to us in the past. So maybe when I say it hasn't happened for a while, maybe that means it's overdue. I don't know. On the other hand, you know, we've given them good games over the last. But since they became a major force, we've given them a lot of good games and we've beaten them a few times. So, who knows? Okay, so I'm now duty bound before we call it a day. I am duty-bound to ask you all for actual predictions. I mean, I know you've already said, Andy, you've said we'll get beat. Do you want to offer us a scoreline?
I think we'll get beat 2-1.
Okay. Chris?
I'm going to go 3-2 Spurs.
Wow. What game that'd be? Sean?
I'm going to go 2-2. 2-2, I think it'd be.
2-2, yeah. I think I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you would probably take it, even though we could start getting some wins. But I mean, you know, obviously it's not the most easy points opportunity. Anyone want to plug anything before we go? I always like to give you... Andy, what are you peering in at the moment?
I'm not really. I'm sort of
resting,
semi-retired. I am doing. I'm going up to Edinburgh this year with a one-man show.
Oh, great!
Which
that'd be good. Are you doing any
100 years in the making?
Are you doing any warm-up shows in London?
Yeah. So one of the etc. I'm trying to get the N in chickens. It's. I mean, I love Spurs and football and boxing and that. But I'm a big horse racing man as well. So I bought the rights to a book, and it's called Baxter versus the Bookies. It's about fluctuating fortunes of a horse racing tipster, if you're into horse racing.
Yeah.
You
Sounds
might
good.
not be.
So you've turned it into a one-man show?
Yeah. It's,
Sounds great.
We'll take it up to Edinburgh and lose a fortune, come home, and then wonder why I did it in the first place.
Just like at the races.
That's it, yeah. No, I enjoy... I'm not going over to... Leipzig, because I'm going to Cheltenham.
Right, Cheltenham's great. I usually go to Cheltenham.
I like the nags.
Yeah.
But, so yes, it's called Baxter versus the Bookies. We've taken it up to Edinburgh. Gilded Balloon, 2 for 1.
Great.
And we'll see where that goes.
Great, good luck with that. Sounds good. Sean, what are you up to?
Various TalkSport bits and bobs at the moment. Back on the Game Day podcast tomorrow with Sam Matterface. I've just launched a new column with TalkSport. It'll be out every Monday. It is the Totally Tottenham one. So you weren't miles off with that one.
It's a column and it goes on the website?
Yes, so it'll be on talksport.com. And it'll just be summing up the last week or so with Spurs, talking about transfers, talking about performances. So that'll be out every Monday.
Great. We'll look out for that, Chris.
Still just doing my YouTube stuff.
Doing your YouTube, yeah. Still got
channel.
Massive numbers on your YouTube.
Yeah, it's going well. The channel's called Tottenham fan Chris Cowlin.
Yeah.
I'm always doing videos every day talking about Tottenham.
Brilliant. Okay, and always good. And of course, you kept us all up to date on the as the stadium grew. You were our man on the spot for all Tottenham fans.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was
really
great. All right, well, thank you all very much. Chris, Sean, Andy, thank you all very much for coming. Thank you, Leon, our engineer, who is at his dinner again during the course of this. I asked Andy what it was. He said it was an egg mayonnaise sandwich. Just in case you're wondering, listeners. And we'll see you. Hopefully you can come along on Friday to the Beehive, see Ozzy and Mickey for the transfer deadline special. But if not, we'll see you next week.